Okay, so I have these relationships.
Uh-oh.
No, it's not a bad thing. These good relationships, spiritual relationships with those who have transitioned.
Yeah.
Okay? Spiritual teachers
Yeah.
who've transitioned, like an Ernest Holmes, Neville Goddard, Jerry, my mother, and I just want to talk about how they fit. Like, where does my mother fit in with Jerry and Ernest Holmes and Neville Goddard?
How did your mother fit into your life?
Much differently now than she did when she was living.
So, do you think you put anything in your vortex relative to your mother? As you knew her, what do you think you put in your vortex? Let's back up just a little bit. When you really know what you don't want, you really know what you do want. So you can get some really wonderful things in your vortex as a result of difficult relationships. But if you have a wonderful relationship, like Esther did with Jerry, then what you're putting into your vortex is more subtle. It's more detailed. And so what kind of things do you think you put into your vortex relative to your mother?
I wanted to be closer to her.
Yes. What else?
I wanted her to accept me.
Was she not accepting of you? And so the opposite of that now is in the vortex, because you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. So now, where does that put your mother now? Where do you think she now is?
I think she adores me.
So here's the thing that's interesting about how she fits together, because you see, Ernest Holmes never scolded you for leaving your wagon in the street. Didn't have that kind of a relationship. Jerry never scolded you for anything. You didn't have that kind of relationship. None of them were disappointed in you because they were not standing. You didn't interpret any of them as disappointed in you because none of them were standing and looking right at you in any sort of disappointment. But your mother was. So the difference, and we loved your question, the difference, how your mother fits into all of that is only as is translated through your expectation of your mother. You have different expectations of these masters than you do of your mother, and yet you should not. If you will expect of your mother the master as you do of Ernest Holmes the master, now you'll have guidance that will be even more intimately and detailed about you, because there's much more active about your life experience relative to your mother than there was about these other masters that you're talking about. Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So how do they fit in? It's how am I fitting them in? How am I fitting them in? Esther had a really powerful renewal of understanding when Jerry made his transition, because she's been receiving Abraham for a long time, but never put a face to us. She accepted us as infinite intelligence, as non-physical consciousness, as collective consciousness, as impulse of thought, as emotion and feeling. She accepted us as consciousness, but she never tried to define us in any sort of physical terms. And so it's interesting as she's now trying to figure out how Jerry fits into all of that. And he fits in right where she allows him to fit in. But she has to accept who he is before she can let him fit in. You see what we're getting at?
Yes.
You're the interpreter of that. Nice to know, isn't it?
Perfect.
Really good.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.